All right, before we get into our lesson, the presence is the gift, I got two funnies for you today since it's gift giving season. The first one is, it says these men are traveling on a ship when they were accosted by the devil. The devil proposes that if each man drops something into the sea and he cannot find it, he will be the man's slave. And if the devil does find it, however, he will eat the man up. So the first man drops a pure, clear diamond and immediately got eaten. The second drops an expensive watch, trying to impress the devil, and he got eaten. The third man fills a bottle with the water and pours it into the sea and said, try to find that one, fool. And then the second one says, a young girl asked her mother, how did the human race begin? The mother said, God created Adam and Eve, and from there they had children, and so was all of us born. The next day, the young girl went and asked her dad the same question. The dad said, well, and monkeys evolved and then became humans. And the little girl was so confused. So she went back to her mother and she said, well, how come you told me Adam and Eve started the human race and Dad said that monkeys started the race? The mother said, well, that's simple. I told you about my side of the family. Your dad told you about his. The presence is the gift. And then chapter 22, Finding the Christ. I was watching this show the other day, and it made me think about our theme, the presence is the gift. And in this show, they had these bad guys kidnapped a rich man's daughter and then buried her alive. And if they would have answered the ransom, then he would have told them where the little girl was. And they found out that he was on these acreage land. And so all the police and the security and everybody, they went around and they were hollering the girl's name. But then this one person was just still, listening to the presence, because God was going to lead him. And sure enough, after he stood there and was just still and quiet, he was led right to where the young girl was buried. And that's what we have to do more often, is to be still in that silence, because in the presence is the gift of healing, the gift of resources, the gift of right relationships. In the presence of God, there is your desire and your need. Whatever sorrow there is in life, whatever sickness there is, whatever hatred there is, whatever unrest there is, spirit is stronger. The presence is stronger. When we call it forth, the power of love will rise up. That's what Reverend Helen talked about in her meditation and invocation. Whatever the question, love is the answer. When we call it forth, the power of love will rise up to meet any difficulty. The presence is the gift. To affirm, declare, speak our word that we are always in the presence of God. Never mind what things in life looks like. Look beyond appearances. Regardless of what it is in life and what it feels like, we must, at the very least, we should adopt the fact there is no situation that could ever confront us that cannot be solved. Nothing can confront us that has not been solved. We've been through some things, and we made it through. We're still standing because the answer, the solution, the healing came. And if we're in need of it now, hold on. Like our sister Janetta just saying, hold on, because God is coming. God is already there, but we have to awaken to it. Recognize it, become one with it, and then realize that all things are possible in it. And then release the burden, release the concern, and then allow the Spirit to come and do its work in, as, and through you. We must elevate our thoughts, the way that we perceive things, the happenings. A lot of times we're only happy when the happenings are good, and then unhappy when we have a challenge. But we must be joyful and happy all the time. Happy your way through it. The quicker you get in a place where you recognize the presence, the quicker the ills will disappear. But as long as you're waddling in it, it has to stay right with you. Release it. Don't hold on to it. Don't worry about it. Hold on. It says, what's that song say? Hold on, I'm coming. Hold on, 'cause I'm coming. We are accustomed to wrestling with the challenge than we are to turn to the solution. The presence as the gift is ours for the act. This is about finding and locating that Christ nature that's within you. It is said difficulties are opportunities to better things, to demonstrate our divinity. Our life experiences, when they are not to our liking, are stepping stones to a greater experience. See, if nothing didn't happen to you, you wouldn't do nothing about it. Something has to happen in order for us to find and locate our divine power. So things have to come in order for us to spiritually grow, in order for us to have a testimony. You can't have a testimony if you haven't had a test. Gibran says, our spiritual work is love made visible. It is in my power to recognize God's presence or not. I have a choice to serve God or not. When I serve God, I add to my own good and the good of the world. Not serving God, I forfeit that good and then must regroup. Our teaching reminds us like attracts like. Whatever the conscious mind thinks and believes, the subconscious identically creates it. Exactly. So if you plant carrots, you're not going to get celery. You're getting carrots. So what you put out into the universe, into your life, what you speak over yourself, and over those things that concern you is what's going to come back to you. As we think, so it is. We get hurt and injured emotionally so much by other people, what they do or don't do, what they say or don't say. But by our own attitude and response to it will bring our peace. We allow people to rob us of our joy, and we give that power over. We can't expect for people to make us happy. God created us individualized, gave us choice and dominion. Choose today whom ye shall serve. We have falsely identified ourselves with the limited self, the ego, when we have the opportunity this moment to transfer the sense self to our true being, the immortal soul, forever living in the eternal presence of the One. There we cannot even imagine the state of suffering or error thinking because it's moved on. See, when you anchor yourself in the harvest of gratitude and then you slide on over and allow yourself to be anchored in the presence because it's the gift, then you won't even entertain anything less than. That's our charge. It's to not feed in to the carnal thinking, but to rise our consciousness heaven bound, to always think heavenly thoughts, to always allow the Spirit of God to utilize your consciousness, your mouth, your heart, and your soul. See, we're walking around in this little suitcase. This is temporary right here, but this thing houses that very special presence. See, God is me. God is you. And we're walking around to demonstrate that. But so often we demonstrate the opposite. We allow people to bring us into that web, allow them to bait us into an argument or to feeling less of ourselves when we are the greatest thing that God has created. And you can't let no one tell you any different. Our era thinking is human thoughts. And why do we grab a hold of that more than we do the wisdom of God that's always flowing? Why do we love conditionally when the unconditional love flows through our heart from God? See, I can't trust myself. I got to be anchored with God. See, don't trust your human self to love people. Trust the love that God has given you to love people unconditional. Because people's character, their personality may not fit or vibe with yours. Look at how we act, but God loves unconditionally. And God's love never stops. And we're supposed to emanate that, duplicate that. That's why we have the wisdom of God, the love of God. That's why our soul is the vehicle for the power of spirit. Inside of us is unimaginable spiritual substance waiting for us to utilize it fully. But we got one foot in and one foot out. A lot of people sleep with their fists balled up, just waiting for something to happen. But we need to relax, release, and let go. And speak that word, peace, be still. This month, this season, holy season, Christmas, which means Christmas, more Christ. More of our Christ nature, allowing it to live in, as, and through us. Taking that light of God everywhere that we go. Christ, the season of awakening to our Christ nature. That Jesus taught and demonstrated like none other. But that he said over and over, what he did, we can do, and even greater. But it's all about allowing that human self to ride in the back seat and allow the Spirit of God to guide you and lead you and drive you wherever you need to go. It's a matter of getting our bloated nothingness out of the way and allowing the divine circuits to rejuvenate us. We cannot conquer evil, dis-ease, discord by resisting and fighting with it. We conquer by transmuting that same energy into another form of thought. Reverend Gerald said last week, thoughts believed in takes form. When you truly believe in something, it takes form because you have this spiritual substance in this invisible place in space. Our thought comes together and makes the form of loving relationships or relationships discord. The same energy that we use to heal is the same energy used to make you sick. You just got to turn that thought around. Whatever you want to see and experience in your life, you have the power to call it forth. Everything begins with a word, a thought, a word, trust, belief, and faith. The same power of thought that creates, recreates, according to your belief in it, your trust in it. See, we're waiting for a hint or something to let us know that it's coming or that it's happening. But it's your faith and your belief and your trust that brings it to you. Because if you're waiting for something to dictate to you that's outside of you, to tell you that it's coming, that healing is unfolding, then your faith is wavering. Because you're saying, I can't believe it till I can see it. But it's the other way around. You got to believe it, then you'll see it. the presence, the divine, spiritual, orderly way of life. To feel God's presence is to not let anything interfere with those spiritual circuits, that power, that energy, the presence, to experience a deity like no other. Through my challenge, something is with me. So when I'm not feeling good, the power of my word and my faith in that word talks to those cells, those muscles, and those organs. Mind over matter. This is matter right here. But you have the power to talk to your body, to talk to your finances, to talk to your circumstances, to call peace be still in your life. We have the power to do so. We can't wait for anything outside of ourselves to do it. Everything is inside. This is an inner job right here, living this thing we call life. Inner work that we must do. The presence in Psalm 67:1, it says, believers always live in God's presence in all our deeds. So when that challenge come up, we should get excited because opportunity to utilize this spiritual power to bring about a change. And when you get excited, that means that you have an attitude of gratitude. That even though it hurts, even though it's inconvenience, even though I'm uncomfortable, even though I can't have this thing right now, but there's something within me that can draw it to me. See, we're vibrational beings using this energy, spiritual energy, to change things, everything that we have. These chairs that we're sitting on, this podium, it all started with a thought. And then tapping into the ability to get it done. In the beginning was God and God's word. And that's where everything emanated from, the word of God. And then God made us in its image and likeness and planted within us that same ability. That power that we read about our master teacher Jesus, what he did. We're using that same power right now. But the question is, how are we using it? What are we thinking? What are we carrying around from yesteryear? And we don't even think about everything that's happened to us. It's gone past. It came for lessons and blessings. And those lessons, learn from it, then release it. Make room for new experiences. Make room for God to have a place to be within you. And that's why you speak your word every morning and every night. To release that old stuff. Get some of that heaviness, that burden off your shoulders so you can walk a little lighter. The presence, inner affirmation of our divinity. Our acceptance that God, Spirit, Father, Creator is with us always. Just utilize its wisdom and ability to show up and show out in every circumstance. Wouldn't you want to have 2 or 3 testimonies every day? So much that you can't even tell it all. May we put our Christ inheritance hat on from now on. There's an inheritance for you, and that's all the good that you can stand. God has already given it to you. But we can't see for looking. May this not just be a season of rejoicing, or for many, there's a lot of sadness and loneliness, especially during the holidays. And so we are to be that light in our community, in our family, to lift someone up and not just say, woe is me. Because sadness can be turned into gladness. It can be turned into joy. But we must speak those words. We must believe that it's absolutely possible. The season, the reason for this season is to give birth to that Christ child. We read the story, and I'll be speaking on the 4th Sunday. We got a little, our lineup look a little different this month. And I'm going to do the 1st, and then because Christmas is on Sunday, I'll be doing that day. And we'll go through the story and break it down. But this is a season to help us to jump off in a right direction in the new year that's coming. It's not just in December that we give birth to this Christ child, that we awaken to our Christ nature. It's got to be from now on. I mean, how many Christmases we have to experience? How many times we got to give birth before we actually utilize the power? Utilize our Christ nature. So this is the season that we collectively come together, and it has to be for a spiritual purpose. And then we move into this brand new year, fully awake and aware and understanding the power that we truly have and putting it to better use. The presence is the gift. When people have security guards, they have a level of security. You have people, famous people, walk around with all of this security. But I will say this, as many action movies as I watch, I love action movies, even the best security can and will be breached. But in the presence, the true presence, the presence of our Creator is never defeated, never left without a witness, never left without a testimony. And that's where we have to anchor ourselves there and stay there and not be just by circumstances, because they're coming. That is our opportunity, again, to open up that spiritual tool chest and pull out all the powers that you have to get what you want. The presence of is a deep, intimate relationship with the Father, a place of knowing, understanding, and being fully aware that being in the presence of God bestows upon us all of the gifts and the attributes of spirit. So we're not just talking about words, we're talking about allowing those words to rest in your consciousness and combat all of that junk that's in the subconscious so that the superconscious can have its way with you. To be peace-filled, to be patient instead of being a patient. We're always in a rush and so anxious to have everything right now. But this spiritual journey requires our patience, our peace, our attitude of gratitude, and then willingness to move according. You can't jump the broom on the spirit. You got to be with it every second of every day, because the moment that we fall asleep at the wheel, something has the opportunity to get in. And a lot of times you don't realize it until you're in the hospital or until the bank account is overdrawn. But if you stay with spirit, the presence is the gift all the time, you don't have to worry. You can walk in peace. You can walk as a son and a daughter of the Most High God. And this stuff takes practice. It takes for us to do something spiritually for ourselves every single day. You can't skip a day. It's like I tell a lot of people when I counsel them, is that you're so in a rush to get something instead of doing the work and being patient. And it's like standing in a line, waiting for your gift, and the line ain't moving fast enough, and you just are looking. And then pretty soon, you move up out of the line. You done lost your place. Now you got to go to the back of the line again. Hold on, she said. Stay with it. If you stay with it and you believe in it, it has to show up. That's the way it works. This universal purse has everything that we need. Nothing else really needs to be made. When we experience the virtues of God's presence, its love, its grace, its mercy, we then experience the gifts. Not just boxes and bags under a tree, but we receive the capability to be more open, the ability to forgive. That's a big one. See, that's what that subconscious is contaminated with, is unforgiveness. And we're waiting for the person to call us or to apologize or to undo what's already been done. It won't happen. You got to set yourself free. When we forgive, we experience forgiveness. We are comforted. We see ourselves in a bright light instead of a dim light. To sense God's presence means our fears, doubts, pains, maneuvers into faith. Khalil Gibran says, doubt and fear is a pain too lonely to know that faith is its twin brother. Doubt and fear is a pain too lonely to know that faith is the twin brother. That's some heavy stuff. Simply exchanging negative error thinking for positive, life-giving, successful thinking. For the present is the gift. All the powers of our inner self is set into action as a result of our conscious beliefs. Let us not keep losing our sense of responsibility, blaming our experiences on people, events, or circumstance for, we call them forth, some kind of way. And we think we have to specifically say a thing. Not every time we think ill thought of ourselves or anybody else, we've opened the door and invited the flies in. So we got to keep our thoughts heaven-bound. As a root of ourselves in the presence, we shall be renewed. We shall be transformed. We shall all be changed in a twinkling of an eye. Immediately when we truly accept that I am a child of God and that I have all this power at my disposal, as soon as we accept that completely, you are changed. Life looks different. You see God in every person, place, and situation. God, again, is our constant companion. So when something or someone shows up not to your liking, come on, God, what we going to do right here? Let me see you at work in my life. But then you have to put in the work as well. When we take 2 steps, God will take 3 for us. Don't look for the free pass. Earn your earthly keep by faith and service. For the gift has already been made. Acceptance is required. So go on and press in. If we feel the Spirit is not moving, then move it. And you do that by conscious thinking and belief and faith in it. By means of our word accompanied with intention. What are we using our dominion and ability to choose for? Wholeness in our bodies. Eventually the body changes. Stuff moves, drops, and go elsewhere. It don't function properly. But in the presence, what are we contributing to the process? We can slow it down. But when we look in the mirror and say, oh my God, I just see another wrinkle. But did you know that's wisdom? That means you've been here long enough to collect some wrinkles. Are we enduring gracefully? It says grow old gracefully. And that means just appreciate the Spirit of God that's within you. Because all this outside stuff will change. But the inside stuff keeps us lifted. Don't live like you drive. Slow it down a little bit. Finances may leave our hands, but it will not leave our lives. Our word can bring it back. A lot of people have filed for bankruptcy a lot of times. Number 45 did it a whole lot of times. But it comes back. Why? Because their consciousness believes in it. So what you believe in will find its way to you, whatever it may be. The presence will forever be present. Don't go out without a good fight. After all, you are and I am. We are in the presence, and in all things there is a gift. God is always offering us a gift, a way out, a solution, an answer. But we're always in the way of it. We're always thinking we could do better. If I could just fix it, if I could just do it. No, let God do it through you. The gift is the power of thought in motion. The first truth taught in Genesis was a divine presence filling every man and woman in perfect life, giving us unity and oneness, creativity, giving us the power to create and recreate, co-create. In the presence, no good thing shall be denied. God mind open to each of us, infinite adventures, infinite intelligence. May we allow being in the presence open our human consciousness to the gifts of the Spirit. Our journey on this earth, in this universe, is a temporary. But what will we do while we're here? And how will we do it? Will we do it gracefully? Will we do it with our divinity leading us and guiding us? The kingdom of God in heaven is within. Why do we keep allowing the outer to dictate? We are in the presence. That presence is the gift. When we desire anything other than loving kindness, well-being for ourselves as well as others, our fellow men, bring that stream of thought upon ourselves. Then it will spread and spill into everything else that concerns us. One bad apple does spoil the whole bunch. One wrong thought brings about something else. All of our ills and woes is because of the error thinking. As I say, turn that stinking thinking around. The presence, God, love can have no desire other than to bless all alike. Let us not faint and be weary. We are the heroes and sheroes. Shall we anchor ourselves in the presence that we may recognize the gift has already been made? Ernest Holmes says this in chapter 22, Finding the Christ. Who is the Christ? The Son, the daughter, begotten of the only Father. It goes on to say, not the only begotten. The mystical conception of Christ means the universality of our divinity, our relationship to the Father. This idea is embodied in any individual who recognizes his or her sonship and daughtership. And what does begotten mean? It represents a bringing about, giving rise to. And the reason they say Jesus was the only begotten, because he's the one that practiced the presence and the power better than any other thus far. But we have a task before us. We can be that and even greater. Step over the threshold. To awaken to our Christ nature is to awaken to and claim our inheritance, our divine inheritance. The presence is the gift. When you connect yourself with God, all times, 24/7, because God is availed to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. When we can anchor and connect with that and stay with that, and it's not to say that things won't come and you'll forget quickly, but then get back in line. Get back in line for your gift. So our charge in the biggest classroom called Earth is to anchor ourselves in the presence that we may receive our gifts. Amen? And so it is.